Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going to be wishing you a very, very Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Spaghetti Monster Day, whatever it is that you celebrate.
Come on. We know what the real holiday that we all celebrate is. And that, of course, is a Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes, that one too. I thought you were going to say Krampusnacht. Which actually, in my neighborhood, somebody put up a Krampus in front of their house, and I can't find it. I know it's a thing because somebody posted it in the specific neighborhood Reddit sub, and I'm trying to find it by myself. They have the address there, but I don't want to cheat. I want to try to find this place, but I can't find it, and it's driving me mad. I need to know, but I have only so many days left until there's Christmas, so I have to find the Krampus.
The Krampus.
Otherwise, if I can't find it and Christmas happens, then I'll just have to find out where exactly it is, and I'll just see it, and then I'll have to just use the cheat code because, well, what am I going to do? Not see it? That would be a shame if they keep it out until only until Christmas, and then they take it away before New Year's. That would be a bummer.
I mean, generally, it's pretty traditional to leave your decorations up until New Year's.
I do.
It's the Christmas season,
Exactly. We usually get rid of the tree maybe somewhere within the first to second week of January.
Yeah.
If we have some tree juice left, which we didn't, I don't think we got it this year, but if we ever have a hearty helping of tree juice left, sometimes we'll keep it. I think once we kept it through February.
The hell is tree juice?
Oh, it's some kind of elixir that you buy online, and if you have a real tree, then it prolongs the death basically.
Oh.
So you put it in with the water in the water basin, and it's like some kind of a fertilizer agent.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is. Anyway, it helps the tree live longer. But we put up our tree, of course, watching Jingle All the Way. I sent a quick picture of it to Holtzvoyer, our man from Arno Core. He gave it a thumbs up, and that was it. He did not talk to me after that.
Oh, fair enough.
He told me to chill. In the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger. We have gathered today to speak to you about probably the best rendition of A Christmas Carol.
Yes, I was going to actually say that. Yeah.
A Christmas Carol has been done to oblivion.
Yeah.
I can't think of any. I'd say every 5 to 7. I'd say every 5 to 10 years, you get some new version of A Christmas Carol, possibly several, and I don't think any outdo this one.
No.
I think the only big competitor they have to this is Scrooged, but that's that's a unique retelling of it.
I would say the Jim Carrey one comes pretty close too, but
that one is good.
Yeah, it's just not as good as this.
If you want to consider a faithful adaptation, the Jim Carrey one is a close second.
Yeah.
But we are talking about the Muppet Christmas Carol because everything is better with Muppets. It just is. I don't know how to explain that, except unless you take a look at Thrasher Dies Wake Up and Smell the Thrash video, because that makes thrash metal better with Muppets.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain these things, but this is friggin' awesome. And Michael Caine is just perfect as Scrooge.
I was gonna say Michael Caine is like the most imposing Scrooge on film, and I will go out on a limb to say, like, he is like, when he first appears in the street, he's legitimately scary. He's got this aura about him, like this
Yes.
darkness.
He's one of those people. It's almost like when you take a look at, it's almost like when you see a certain actor at playing Batman. There's some
Yeah,
actors who are Batman, and you're just like, okay, that's the guy who's Batman now. And then there's some actors like Michael Keaton and I would say Christian Bale, where they put on the suit, and you're like, oh shit, that's Batman.
yeah. Oh, it's funny
I
that you mentioned the Christian Bale Batman, because you could argue that Michael Caine is also the best Alfred that's on film too.
oh, mm, I I have a soft spot for the guy who was in the first four in the
I
Burton
do too.
verse.
I like that. I think it's Michael Go is that
Yes,
guy's
I
name.
think so.
Yeah, he's a good actor, and uh I liked him.
But
And
Michael Caine was excellent as Alfred.
exactly, yeah.
Like for
Michael
me, it's
Caine,
just more of a bias. But as in terms of real acting, I think I think Kane's got him beat.
I think Michael Go did a really good traditional Alfred, being like very proper and prim, and that kind of father figure, whereas Michael Caine kind of got the more like snarky, like uh you know, more critical of Bruce Wayne, not as much of a cheerleader, more like, try to give him like constructive criticism and advice.
Yeah,
So I think and again, like this, like just the snarky comments and stuff, like unmatched by any of the other Alfreds. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, so funny little aside there that we're talking
yeah.
about the best Scrooge on film, and it happens to be Michael Caine also.
Yep.
Uh,
Go figure. But like
yeah,
I said, the second that Michael Caine shows up, you're like, that's fucking Scrooge.
yeah,
Like there's nothing else. Like anytime I see him, there's still a part of me that just immediately thinks Scrooge.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and
or like as Austin Powers' dad, Michael Caine is basically Scrooge if he got laid.
um, fuck, what was like? Oh, so I it's funny because this was like one of my favorite Christmas movies growing up. I like watched the
Mine
crap out
too.
of this when I was a kid.
I try
And
to watch this every year.
yeah, me too. And
I would say
for
besides Jingle All the Way, which I've always kind of put more of a Black Friday movie, I would say
yeah,
that Muppet Christmas Carol is my favorite traditional Christmas movie.
yeah. Um I think I always thought that, like, Scrooge, for me, this archetype of Scrooge was also always like Michael Caine in my head. Like, if I, like, someone was talking about Scrooge, or like I read Scrooge, read like in a rendition of Christmas Carol or something, I don't know. Scrooge was always just Michael Caine, like in my head canon, basically.
Oh yeah,
I always just pictured Scrooge as Michael Caine.
and I
Uh
and the songs are freaking catchy.
yeah, so that's another thing, is that the songs were amazing in this. And like, especially like, I had mentioned to you before we did the podcast that the Scrooge song had been stuck in my head literally every day since the day I watched the movie last week. It's just been like repeating in my head over and over again.
It's been in my head all week too. Honestly, I told you this too, but for several times a year, I randomly start singing "Where Marley and Marley." Whoa!
Whoa!
I don't know why. This happens once a season. It'll be July and I'll just start singing the song. I don't know why, but it's it's a fun time. So shout out to Miles Goodman, or Elliot Miles Goodman, as his proper name is, who just composed a bunch of films, including Little Shop of Horrors in 1986.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he worked with Frank Oz constantly.
Yeah.
But the movie was directed by Brian Henson, and this was the first Muppet movie, or the first Muppet anything really, that happened
Post Jim
after.
Henson's death.
Yes, this is the first thing that happened after Jim Henson passed. So Brian, his son Brian Henson, took the mantle, and this was the first movie that he directed. And I was
Yes.
watching a behind the scenes, or making of, or whatever you want to call it, of the Muppet Christmas Carol, and Michael Caine had no idea that he had never directed a movie before.
Oh
He thought,
really?
yeah, he didn't research. He just assumed that he had, because he saw, okay, Brian Henson, he probably did the other Muppet movies while Jim Henson was doing some of the bigger projects or something like that. He just assumed that
Yeah.
Brian had done the other Muppet movies, and he came on and he just said, "Oh, what other ones did you do?" And he said, "Oh, this is my first movie." Really?
Huh.
Yeah. And he was brilliant at it. And Michael Caine just was like, he's as good as any director who's been doing it for years.
One of the few times a nepo baby in Hollywood it was actually good at its job.
Yeah. Well, they used to have talent, I swear.
Yeah. Um
But yeah, they used to care about the family business.
well, and if I remember correctly too, I remember reading something that he was actually, kind of unsure of himself, obviously, because he had just taken over the company, and somebody, one of the writers, uh, I think, um,
Jerry
or no,
Jewell.
it was an agent that like said that gave him the idea to do Christmas Carol because uh, he said, quote, Christmas Carol is the greatest story of all time. You should do that. Um, so I think it was kind of one of those things where it was like a perfect storm of, you know, to everything kind of fell into place at the right time, and Christmas Carol was the right movie to do, and because it was a tried and true movie. It's a classic story. What better way to do it again and do it a different way than to add the Muppets to it?
Right.
Um,
And when they got Michael Caine, they gave it to him because they wanted him because he was a traditional theater actor too, and they felt that a theater actor would probably do the best possible performance. Now
yes,
they did they did also consider George Carlin and a
yeah,
few other folks, David Hemmings, Ron Moody, and David Warner, two Davids. And George Carlin, I think, probably would have been really good too, but he would have been a
yeah,
very different Scrooge. I think George Carlin would have been better as a Bob Marley.
yeah. I think. Well, I don't know. He was kind of old at that time. I guess,
That's
yeah.
what I
Bob
mean. I
Marley.
think he
Yeah,
would have worked better for Robert
yeah.
Marley.
He probably would have actually. Uh, well, I mean, I think it was kind of like perfect casting for the Marleys.
Oh yeah. I
Of
mean, you want to the thing with Muppet movies is you want to use as few humans as possible, but you
yes,
do need them. You need the human to drive
yes.
the central plot, and then the Muppets need to just work their magic and
Well, that
all
was
over
like
the
why
place.
it was perfect to have Scrooge as a human because he's supposed to be this big imposing character and like mean and you're not supposed to identify with him. You're supposed to not like him. So I think if you had a Muppet, it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
It
And
only works as a human and have the Muppets as like the better, the good characters, quote unquote.
right, and he also he also made a point that he would do this movie as if he was going to be working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. So he was locked into it. He said, "No, I'm not even going to acknowledge that the Muppets are Muppets. I'm not going to do anything cute. I'm not going to do anything snarky. I'm going to be as nasty as I can."
Yeah.
And
Um.
like you said, it was the perfect combination.
Yeah. Michael Caine also even said that
Is he the only human besides the
no,
No, there's like 3 there's
Yeah,
those are 3 or
his
4
nephew
people.
and his nephew's
His
wife.
nephew, the wife, and the girlfriend.
Yes.
That's it.
And obviously, like, all the different little, like, Scrooge throughout his childhood to all the different actors that but, that's one character that's played by multiple people. Um, I was gonna say, Michael Caine, he played this movie and he made it clear that he was gonna play it like he was doing it for, like, theater. Like, he was like, this was A Christmas Carol by the Royal Shakespeare Company, you know? He was, like, gonna
Even
play it as serious as possible.
yes, even the walk
Yes.
is very sinister.
Everything about his performance is like really just so perfect and spot on. And really the development of the character, um, you do feel sorry for him. You start obviously you're supposed to hate him at the beginning because he's a not likable character. He's an asshole. Although I did read somewhere, someone made a good point that, the thing with Scrooge is like, yeah, he's a miser and but he's not like it was hard. It's hard to explain. Like he wasn't like the kind of person that was like living like on in an ivory tower and looking down because he didn't spend money on himself either. Like he didn't he he's sitting in his store or whatever he has his shop or his office I guess whatever it is. And the mice are asking him for more coal because it's cold, like they're freezing cold, and he says no. But it's like, well, he's sitting in the cold too, so like he holds himself to like a standard, like, oh, I'm gonna like make myself miserable, you know?
Right. He's just it's almost well, the way that you can the way that that kind of builds is when you start to understand the psyche of Scrooge when you get into the other Christmases,
Yeah,
and it almost seems like he never really he was never he never he wasn't cruel initially, but he became that way.
yes,
And a lot of it was through lost love. Probably the main reason was lost love. Also, he was an orphan, really.
yeah.
He didn't have
Well,
a
like
family to go home to, so he
he
didn't
had no
really see what the
friends.
right. He didn't see what the big deal with Christmas was. He was just a smart guy or
Yeah,
a smart boy who just really wanted to succeed, and he had a lot of ambition, which is admirable. But he didn't have a social life and he didn't have family, so he really didn't understand what the holidays were about at all, and no one bothered to show him until he was working for Fezziwig. And then of course he meets the love of his life, but because he's so obsessed he's still so obsessed with succeeding that it doesn't even become greed. It
yeah,
just becomes it he's when he's trying to justify why he's doing what he's doing, it's because he feels that he's doing it to provide and set up a good future for his girlfriend, who he
yeah,
will eventually plan to marry, but he still wants to take care of everything else first. And her thought is, when is it ever going to be enough for you? Why can't we just do the thing?
yeah,
And he just doesn't understand that he doesn't really he doesn't understand that most people don't care about this sort of thing.
yeah.
So he just hoards wealth, but
No,
he really doesn't see
doesn't spend it.
what the point of it is
No.
to do anything with it outside of hoarding it.
Yeah, it's like he just like it wants to see what like how far he can go and how much success he can have, and has nothing to do with like getting money to buy nice things or be materialistic because he doesn't live this lavish lifestyle, you know.
Right. I
Uh,
mean, even when he dies, when we see the Ghost of Christmas Future, he's still there, and then they're fencing off all of his his bedwear. They're surprised that it's cheap.
yeah, I would say Scrooge is not an evil character. He's obviously got cruelty and malice towards him, but he's not an evil character. He's just damaged.
Yes. Well,
And
also, we don't really know much about what the Marleys teach him because
right,
he eventually leaves Fezziwig's company to go with the Marleys, and by that time he'd be a broken man from his failed relationship.
yes,
So we don't know if so. It seems from what we can gather from the Marleys, or at least the song, that they instilled the cruelty in him, and it's possible that maybe they were, abusive bosses in some way. um they may have also just pushed him to the limit, and
Hmm.
they were just psychologically not great people to be around. So it's very possible that the greed and the selfishness was a learned behavior. Well, he was always kind of selfish, but that was more on the ambition. But the greed and selfishness, where it turned to cruelty, may have been a learned behavior from the Marleys, because they were so successful in doing the practices that they did. Where Scrooge would see that and say, "Oh, this might be what I need to be successful." And to be honest, the Marleys may have even been the closest thing to a family that he ever had.
Yeah.
Like, he
Yeah.
does have his nephew, but he's kind of estranged from it, and the nephew is pretty much the only one who even cares about him at all.
Yeah. The nephew actually goes to invite him to the Christmas party. Um,
Which
and try to
he
spread some
invites him every
cheer.
year. Well, he invites him every year too,
Yeah.
and he's just on the hope. Or we even like see his wife. She's like, "Why do you even invite him? He never comes. You invite him every year. He never comes to this thing." And then and then what's his name? Fred.
Yeah.
He just goes, "Yeah, maybe he'll show up one year."
Yeah. And then, of course, we see when Scrooge goes with the Ghost of Christmas Present, he goes to Fred's house to see the Christmas party, and sees that they're playing charades, and Fred, is kind of saying all these disparaging things about him, and like they're all kind of laughing about how like mean spirited and he is, and it kind of really affects it. You can see how like Scrooge is like the way he's the reason why he's the way he is because it's like he's putting up this like wall because he's like again he's so damaged and has so much trauma from his past, so he blocks people out on purpose, and then when he's like observing what people think about him when he's not there, it like really affects him a lot because he can't put up that wall anymore. He's got to like see it full hand, like full on what people say about him, and it like I think that really like gets to him. um in the same way, like when they go to Bob Cratchit's house, and he sees Tiny Tim and how you know good spirited Tiny Tim is despite his whatever sickness. I don't think it's ever mentioned what sickness Tiny Tim has, even in the original novel. He's just
I don't
got some
know.
kind of sickness that forces him to walk with crutches. So maybe like polio or something. Who knows? It was the
That's
1800s.
that's the closest thing I can think of. But wouldn't polio be more debilitating?
Not necessarily. Not every it affected people in different ways.
Oh, okay.
Some people had to be like an iron lung because like they got like their whole body was paralyzed. Where like people like RF or not RFK, FDR was like he was able to like get around in a wheelchair and stuff. So it depends on how bad the case is, I guess. So I don't know who knows. It could have been something like that. It could have been just something like genetic or some kind of injury or tuberculosis or who knows. But I don't think
It's unclear.
it's certainly not mentioned in the Muppets movie. I don't think it's mentioned in the original novel.
I
Um
don't know if I've ever seen a version where they. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a version where they mention it,
yeah. But
or at least
Scrooge is
it's never
really,
been a detail that I've noticed.
I guess it's really not important. It's just that he's sick, and if things don't change for the Cratchit family, he's not going to make his next Christmas. Um, so I think you see Scrooge's reaction, how he kind of like immediately has like a softness for the situation and feels so bad for Tiny Tim. And he asks like, well, he asked the Ghost of Christmas Present like, hey, what's going to happen to Tiny Tim? Is he going to be okay? And of course the Ghost of Christmas Present is like, that's not my, that's not my ball game. I only know what's going on now. I'm the Ghost of Christmas Present. And then of course, the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come shows up, and Scrooge sees that Tiny Tim ultimately does pass away, and it really affects him like really
Right.
badly.
Well, that seems to be the moment that really makes him go. Well, I mean, besides the grave, that's the
Yeah,
first moment that really gives him the come to Jesus moment, where he's like, "Oh shit, I got to do something about this."
yeah,
And then, of course, when he finds out who the dead guy is, he's like, "Oh God, I gotta like, I can't let people think this about me. I gotta not be that guy."
yeah.
So he becomes a better person. But might I say, this is the scariest. This is
Yes.
the scariest Ghost of Christmas yet to come that I've seen in any rendition.
All the
To
ghosts are scary in this.
they,
The ghost of Christmas Present isn't so scary because he's very much supposed to be like Father Christmas basically.
yes,
But
the Ghost of Christmas Past is terrifying.
yeah, the ghost of Christmas Past is fucking scary. Even Jacob and Robert Marley as fucking Statler and Waldorf scared me as a kid because they have these giant chains and they're freaking shaking them around, and it's like it's scary.
Oh yeah, no, I was watching it, and I was watching it, and I was and I pointed to the misses, and I was like, somebody had to have made a um a Hellraiser version of this because it could play you could do a quick Hellraiser edit of that, and it would just sync right up.
Oh yeah,
Because I mean, the chains even wrap around him in a similar fashion.
yeah,
It's but yeah, I was watching it, and I just said, "Oh man, my nieces and nephews, like some of them might be freaked out by this scene."
yeah. No, the
But
ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is by far the scariest ghost of Christmas Yet to Come in
yeah,
media. Period. It's just so uncanny valley and so like creepy looking.
right, because the proportions are so awkward.
Yes. It's like it
And
looks like Big Bird is playing the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come almost.
they originally were thinking of having it be Gonzo, and his nose would poke out of the cloak,
That'd
and
be pretty
then
hilarious.
I think, well, Jerry Jewell had a lot of the edits that went into this from he was pretty much Brian Henson's right hand man on this,
Yeah.
so they would kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and I guess Frank Oz too, because Frank Oz was always a big if Jerry Jewell was Jim Henson's left hand, was the right hand, then Frank Oz was the left,
Yeah.
and so they would bounce ideas off each other. And Frank Oz, as we discussed in the Muppets episode from way back, he was just multi-talented, and he did almost all of the Muppets ever.
Yeah.
Frank Oz is just an incredibly gifted human who also is a very good writer and director as well. He's done it
Yeah.
all. He's fantastic, and he
And
always
just for,
played all the Jim Henson.
for the record, in this movie alone, he plays Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Sam Eagle, George the Janitor, Animal, and then the vegetable seller and Mr. Bit, who were original characters made for this movie.
Yes, and Richard Hunt. This was also the first Muppet movie made without Richard Hunt, who was one of the early Muppeteers. He did he did a bunch of them. He's also the guy who's in in Sweetums costume. He was Statler and Beaker and a bunch of the other Muppets on Sesame Street. So it was interesting to see somebody else doing Statler and some of these other puppets.
Yeah.
But they originally thought that they would use Gonzo to be the ghost of Christmas future, or Christmas yet to come, and Jerry Jewell suggested, well, there is a narrator, and in the narrator in a lot of these other what is what is a Christmas character a Christmas Carol, excuse me, without prose?
Yeah.
And because that story it has excellent prose, and they need narration, but in a lot of the other versions that they'd seen, the narrator is just boring,
Yeah.
and he thought this would be the perfect moment to have a Muppet be the narrator. So why not have it be Gonzo, and why not Gonzo just be Charles Dickens? And
Yeah.
that was just another perfect idea
Yeah.
that really worked for this. And they also kind of break up some of the serious notes of the film itself. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, you're Muppetizing things, but it's still very serious from the way that Michael Caine is portraying Scrooge in this setting.
Yeah. Well, the banter between Rizzo and Gonzo is just hilarious. One of my favorite scenes is when they're trying to like climb the gate to Scrooge's house, and like Rizzo is afraid to jump down, and so he finally like Gonzo's like, "I'll just jump, I'll catch you," and so Rizzo jumps and misses and hits the snow. And then he's like, "Oh, I forgot my jelly beans," and he walks through the gate, the bars of the gate to get them. And Gonzo's like, "You could walk through the bars," and Rizzo's like, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "You're an idiot." It's just so perfect. The comedic timing is just perfect. But I also like there's the towards the end of the movie when when Scrooge meets the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. They kind of bow out, Gonzo and Rizzo say, "Oh, this is too scary. We're gonna go hide." But it's kind of a good way to like take the comedy aspect out of a scene in the movie that's supposed to be very like scary and also sad and it's very heavy scene. So having Gonzo and Rizzo there, yeah, okay, would have been kind of funny, but like at the same time, you kind of want them gone, But and they did it in such a good, subtle way. They wrote it into the story. Okay, Gonzo and Rizzo are gone now, so we could have this very serious moment of Scrooge facing his own mortality and seeing all how people celebrate his death and ba ba ba. Uh, they really. It's just such a perfect transition, and then of course Gonzo and Rizzo reappear at the end when everyone's happy and things are good again. So it's really like the perfect writing that they did there.
Right. And I mean everything in this classic. Well, I guess you would say this is the silver age of the Muppets, since the golden age obviously is when Jim Henson is leading the charge. But
Right.
this ushers in the silver age of Muppets. It's also the first Muppet film produced by Disney, who later, of course, now they currently own the Muppets.
Yeah.
But this was a time when Disney took risks that people
Yeah.
and Disney also did things that most people liked.
Well, the dinosaurs were owned by Disney too, weren't they?
Yes, because it was Jim Henson. It was the Jim
Y-
Henson
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
We still haven't done an episode on that show, haven't we?
No, yeah, we should. I mean, we should. Wait,
At some point, we will.
um, no,
But
yeah, it was. I just lost my train of thought.
the first movie, the first one from Disney.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was interesting because I forgot that Disney actually did produce this, and I obviously watched this on Disney Plus because it's there because they own the Muppets now, and then it played like the traditional like Walt Disney pictures thing in with the castle in the beginning, and I'm like, oh, I forgot this was a Disney movie technically.
Yeah,
Uh,
they gave Brian Henson carte blanche basically, and just said, "Do what you're gonna do."
yeah, man, they don't do that shit anymore. That's for
Nope,
sure.
nope,
They
almost no studios do it, and the problem is once they do it and it's successful, the executives are right there to fuck it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's sad and what our media has come down to because that's like constantly happens, where the producers are like, "Oh no, we can't let you do this," and or they'll just take over a show. And there's so many people like Dave Chappelle is a perfect example. He got out of, the, Comedy Central was ready to offer him like millions of dollars, like multi-million dollar contract for to do more Chappelle show, but
I
they
think it
wanted
was
more creative control, and he's like, "No." He's
I
like, "I'm
think it
not doing
was
it."
42 million or something
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, he turned down $42 million because they were gonna have a little bit more control than they did before, and he's like, "No, then it's like compromising my vision for the show and, my comedy, and I'm not doing that." And, you can say what you will about Dave Chappelle now doing, like, the Saudi thing and, like, is he really a man of principle anymore? But, back then, the fact that he basically left comedy for, like, 15 years after that, um basically he just did comedy on the street, like made enough money where he could live off of that, and then he would just go and like set up in like the park and start doing comedy, you
Yeah,
know?
he would make random appearances all over the world just
Yeah.
because. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like unannounced, he would just show up and do 20 minutes and leave.
Yep. So, it's it, if Disney actually did shit like that and let the creators create, then they'd probably be way more successful than they are now, instead of just pumping out the same drivel that we've seen for the last 10 years from that company, you
Exactly.
know?
Anything that is actually good from Star Wars or Marvel is basically good by accident now.
Yes. And it's sad. It's like I never thought I would say I'm sick of Star Wars. I don't want to see any more of it. But I am sick of Star Wars. I'm sick of Disney pumping out like 18 different Star Wars shows and freaking movies that suck. The writing is horrible, you know?
Yep. The same
And
with Marvel. I don't need more
yes.
Marvel movies.
No.
Endgame was fine. They didn't need to there wasn't anything left to do after Endgame. Just make
Exactly.
Spider-Man movies. That's it. And even that I'm like, "All right, we're getting a fourth one. I don't know why, but we're getting one." Meanwhile, the poor Spider-Verse is just suffering on like hobbled legs, 7 hobbled legs and
Yeah.
1 good leg.
Well, and then like every once in a while they like will capture lightning in a bottle with like one movie, but then they just fuck it up again like with the next one. Like Deadpool and Wolverine is a perfect example of like how they could, do a good superhero movie that's different and, you know, still link it into their whole thing, but like, let it be its own thing. And
I even feel with that eventually they won't be able to help themselves and they'll just bring
exactly.
that in
Well, and
because
that's the thing.
whatever they're going to do cuz whatever they do won't sell, so they'll say, "Oh, the execs will come in and say, "Let's just throw Deadpool in. That makes money."
Well, and that's what he's going to be in the new Avengers movie. Like, just because he's there, and it's a whole stupid thing. And I even I said this the other day. I'm like, I don't think I would watch another Marvel movie unless it was like like something like wild and out of left field, like Deadpool kills the Marvel universe or something.
Oh,
You
that'd be
know,
fun.
I mean that'd be a great like out of left field thing to do, especially for the next Deadpool movie. Because where else are you going to go with Deadpool at this point? Do a friggin' Deadpool kills the Marvel universe one,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
and
well,
bring
you'd have to go anywhere from the trilogy.
yeah. And then you could make the excuse to bring back old actors. Like they keep bringing back Robert Downey Jr. to play different roles because it's Robert Downey Jr. and people want to see him on the screen. So it's like, oh well, we can't write Tony Stark back in, so you're Doctor Doom now. It's like,
Yeah, I
oh
mean,
what?
I know they did it in like a what if sense, but there is a real what if comic that they're basing it on, and I know they're trying to do the multiverse thing because everybody's doing it. I don't know. I I just I just don't see the point. Couldn't you have just
Yeah,
gotten somebody else to just be Doctor Doom?
yeah. There are like
There
a
are
ton of
plenty
other
of other
people.
actors who could have been Doctor Doom.
Exactly. Um, and like again, if you want to bring Robert Downey Jr. back, there is some way you could bring Tony Stark back. Like that, no one is permanently dead in comic books. That's just like a rule.
Right. Or at least bring him back through flashbacks. Like, just have some bullshit thing that Doctor Strange has to do where he has to bring Tony Stark back from 1990. I don't know.
Yeah,
And then when he enters, they get that sweet cartoon theme song that plays, and everybody goes home happy. And maybe he just has the mullet from the show
yeah.
because, why not? Let's just do that.
I mean, freaking hell, Superman died and was back in the same freaking comic run. He died and he was back like 5 issues later.
Well, speaking of died and was back 5 issues later, Scrooge in fact wakes up to discover that it was all a dream. He used to read Word Up magazine.
Was it really all
Okay,
a dream or was it real? That I think is the question. Like, I
well,
think it
he
could have
certainly
been real.
wasn't. Well, there was no magazine. It just didn't exist at that time. But yeah, I think you're right.
He
Yeah, but well, you know what? I guess for Scrooge, birthdays were the worst days. So there is something to that. Oh my god, is Scrooge Biggie Smalls in another multiverse?
Oh God.
Is he multiverse Biggie Smalls?
Don't give them any ideas. They're
I
gonna
don't
do a
know.
biopic and have Michael Caine pay Biggie Small.
Well, that I don't know if I want, but I want to see but I would like to see like just Scrooge rapping.
Oh God.
I feel
Don't
like
don't give them any ideas because they'll do that next. They'll do like an urban Scrooge.
uh, well, that has to exist. There
I'm
has to
sure it
be.
does.
There's got to be something like that. There's got to like if they've got the whiz, they've definitely
Yeah, I was
got
gonna say the
some
Wiz was the
variate.
thing.
They've definitely got some variation of a Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I mean, A Christmas Carol's older than The Wizard of Oz, so they've had more time to do it.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some like random Snoop Dogg movie where it's just like Snoop Dogg's Christmas and shit, and it's just like a Christmas Carol in the Hood or something like that.
And Snoop Dogg is Scrooge.
Yeah, he should be Scrooge. He like has a cane and shit.
Yeah.
Like I could see it. I could see that happening. And they're like Scrooge. We really they're like Scrooge. We really need the heat to be turned on. And he's like, why don't you get that fucking coal yourself, bitch? And they're just like, oh no, Scrooge, please don't be so mean to us. And like he just like pimp smacks him. I could see that happening. And then like Scrooge just goes up and down in the lowrider, and there's just there's just like all these chicks on the street, and they're all like trying to come up to him, and he's like, I don't pay for prostitutes. You coming with me, and like and then Scrooge is just trying to get jiggy with it, and then Robert Marley shows up, and he's just like, I mean Jacob Marley shows up, and he's just like, dude, you can't be doing this. And like Jacob Marley was some guy that he used to roll with, like,
It's
way
Dr.
back
Dre.
when yeah, like way back oh my God, that's perfect. When they were hustling
Yeah.
and they were on the come up and and he's like, dude, you can't be doing this shit. You got to change. Otherwise you're gonna put on these chains that I got. And then Scrooge is like, yo, those some dope ass chains. I want that shit. And he's like, no, you really don't. I thought that too, but you really don't want these. You can't take them off. It's really bad. No, it's Flavor Flav. That's perfect. Oh my God, yes. Flavor Flav plays Jacob Marley. I need to see this.
Flavor Flav.
Maybe Drake could be the ghost of Christmas past or present.
Yeah.
And he's
Easy E is
got like
Tiny Tim.
oh my God, that'd be awesome. I want to see this now.
Well, AI,
And
do
then the
plug it
ghost
into AI.
oh man, can the ghost of Christmas yet to come be Suge Knight?
Oh my God. That would be imposing.
That needs to happen. I need to know if this exists. I don't want AI to do it. If it doesn't exist, I don't want to see an AI version. I just want it to be a real thing. Maybe Pac can be the ghost of Christmas present.
Oh God.
I hope that exists. I want it to. I don't know if it does. It probably doesn't. At least not that version. But there probably is some kind. There probably is just some kind of like urban version of a Christmas Carol. But oh yeah, because like Scrooge is so it wouldn't even be an accounting business. It would have to be a record label.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Bob
Yeah.
Cratchit would have to be like a sound guy or something. Yeah, he'd have to be like a sound engineer. I could see that stuff happening.
He's a producer.
Ah, he could be a producer too. Yeah, there's a ton of cool stuff. Buster Rhymes could be Charles Dickens. I like it.
Oh my God.
Oh, wait, if we're using dead people, maybe we could get oh my God. No, I'm casting this. ODB is Jacob Marley. Oh God, I want to see this. I need to see this.
With music by the RZA.
Yes.
That's gotta be. Like that's
That
the only choice.
yeah. Well, I mean if Dre's in it, I feel like Dre would want to be the guy who's like doing the music for it. But
Yeah, but the
if
RZA would
we're
do a better soundtrack.
oh, of course, if we're casting this whole like weird thing, then the RZA is definitely doing it. Who is Bob Cratchit?
Hmm.
Did we say who Bob Cratchit is?
Ice Cube?
Maybe Ice Cube, or maybe we get another Wu-Tang guy.
Ice-T?
Uh, no, I feel like he could be like one of the gentlemen or something like that. The guy who he buys a turkey from. He could just make a cameo. Or he could be Fezziwig. Actually, yeah, I could see Ice-T. I could see Ice-T or Ice Cube as Fezziwig. Uh, hmm. We could get Little Kim to be the. Actually, Little Kim would make sense if Scrooge is Biggie to be like the love interest. I like where this is going. Then yeah, so Bob Cratchit, I would say, yeah, I guess we could just make Method Man be Bob Cratchit. I don't see any problems with that. Or he could be the fence guy. Maybe ODB could be the fence guy. No, I
Yeah,
like him better
ODB
than
should be the fence guy. That would be perfect.
yeah, and then we'll keep Flavor Flav as Jacob Marley. Okay, cool. So we're doing this. Christmas in the Hood and shit. Or A Christmas Carol and shit. That's the thing. Okay, cool. So Scrooge wakes up and so was it a dream or or did it all really happen? We never really get a concrete answer for that. But whatever it is, Scrooge decides to change his ways, and unlike most people, he actually sticks to it. Now, we don't know how many more Christmases both Scrooge and Tiny Tim get to live in this new timeline, but it seemed like in the old timeline, both of them, well, do we ever get a definitive timeline of when the Christmas yet to come is, or is it just a Christmas in the future?
I think they say somewhere it's a year later. It's the next Christmas, or because I think Tiny Tim, they say that Tiny Tim is not going to make his next Christmas. So I think it's supposed to be like a year later, if I remember correctly. Let me see if it says it anywhere.
I mean, are the different, well, because we see Scrooge is dead also, but is it the same year or is it just two separate things?
I think it's the same. I don't know. That's a good question too.
Because it is just because they keep it vague. It's not the ghost of Christmas, the ghost of next Christmas. It's the ghost of Christmas yet to come. So that kind of leaves it open, I think,
Yeah,
because he also gets whisked away to the places. So it could be that could be temporal.
I think the Tiny Tim one being Tiny Tim being dead is probably the next Christmas because all the other children are still children also.
Right. So that one is then.
Yeah,
But when is the Scrooge one? Is it the same year or is it a different year? I mean, I
yeah. I
guess it
don't
doesn't
know.
matter,
Yeah,
but it would be interesting if it is the following year, so you get that contrast where there's the sorrow of the loss and the celebration. Meanwhile, it's the same two people, but Bob Cratchit there's because the Bob Cratchit doesn't mention Scrooge dying.
no.
So that leads me to believe that Scrooge dying is a Christmas is a later Christmas.
But he also is, distracted by the fact that his son died.
Well, right, but I mean, wouldn't he also be thinking, what am I going to do for work?
I don't know.
Right? Because one of those things is bad enough during the holidays. To get both of them,
Yeah.
that's a hell of a double whammy. Like Bob Cratchit, if he doesn't have it, if that happens at the same time and he doesn't have a drinking problem after this, God bless him. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because that was Tiny Tim's words, and well, that only happens in the good timeline when Scrooge wakes up and doesn't know whether or not that was a dream or not, and he decides to change his ways, and he actually does show up to his nephew's Christmas gathering, and
Yeah.
and Fred is like, "Holy shit, you actually came!" And he's like, "Yeah, and I'll be at the next one too." And then he buys the big Christmas goose, gives Bob Cratchit a raise, which I we didn't really mention much of who played the other Muppets, but I thought it was really it's kind of a no brainer for Kermit to be Bob Cratchit
Yeah.
because he's the most wholesome character,
And he's like
and
an everyman basically.
Yes,
which is like Bob Cratchit's supposed to be.
right, and whenever you see Miss Piggy, of course you see Kermit, so she was
Yeah.
always going to be Mrs. Cratchit. And Sam the Eagle also was pretty funny as just the headmaster,
Yeah.
even to the point where Sam Eagle kind of breaks kayfabe and he goes America, and
He's like,
he
it's the American way. And then and then Gonzo whispers in his ear and he's like, oh, it's the British way.
but I like how they gave that, how after they do it, they have his eyebrows just kind of like look around and he moves over where he's almost ashamed that he isn't, that he has to be pro Britain for a
Yeah.
second. And of course, you have Fezziwig, who is changed to Fozziewig,
Yeah.
which, and it is a rubber chicken factory instead of his accounting business or whatever it is that he has.
Yeah. And all the other uh Muppets kind of make like little different appearances that are, they're obviously smaller roles. We had mentioned Waldorf uh and Statler as the Marley brothers. You also had Bunsen, Honeydew, and Beaker as the two men collecting for the charity that Scrooge throws out of his shop. And then, of course, the next day when he wakes up, he finds them on the street and basically is like, "Oh, here's a blank check."
And they're terrified of him too.
Yeah. So, you have to kind of wonder how much money Scrooge just had like fucking stashed away somewhere where he could like, because he basically he gives them all this money for a donation. Then he goes and buys the turkey, this giant Christmas turkey, which I guess is implied, because it's 1800s England. It's really expensive to buy turkey because it has to be shipped from America. Uh, so it was a different time period. So the Cratchits have a goose, in the original when they visit on Christmas Present, but then so Scrooge brings this giant turkey to them instead and has this giant feast with like the whole town basically.
What up, Cratchits? I got a big ass turkey. Oh shit, Scrooge! Sorry, I'm in the other one.
Oh no.
Yeah, so and then he just saves the day, and Tiny Tim goes on to live for however many Christmases. What if, what if in that universe it only extends the Christmas by 1 year and it really didn't matter all that much? Like he goes 2 Christmases. We never really know how many more Christmases. It's just implied that he goes on to live a full life, but we don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
But I
I
would
mean,
like
I would hope it's a lot.
I would hope so too.
Scrooge also pays off of like Marley's whole mortgage for him. He's like, "Oh, it's funny because he comes in and he's all like mean and he's like, oh, not Marley, Cratchit rather. He's like, Bob Cratchit. He's like, I'm gonna give you a raise, and not only that, I'm paying off your mortgage. And then, Miss Piggy starts like screaming at him, like, how could you? And then they're like, wait a minute, wait, what did you say?
Oh yeah, that reminds me. In the very beginning, he's kicking out the guy who can't pay. He's evicting the guy who can't pay his mortgage on Christmas,
Yeah.
and the guy thanks him for not screaming at him.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Oh, also, what is it, Big Joe or yeah, I think it's Big Joe who's the fence. He was one of the puppets that was made specifically for this movie, and he shows up again throughout other Muppets films as a random additional puppet. Like in Muppet Treasure Island, he's one of the other puppets. That one actually scared the shit out of me as a kid,
Really?
just because he's a big weird spider thing,
Oh yeah.
and well, I hate those things. Some of them are cool, and some of the garden spiders with the big eyes are adorable,
Yeah.
like the Lucas the spider types. But most of them, I can't. Most of them, I got to get away. I don't like those things, and they don't seem to like me very much either. But I digress. The we get, well, I mean, we kind of get a good go home happy thing with after that. It isn't like the Grinch where his heart grows 3 sizes that day, but if you're a doctor, you're very concerned because that probably is the start of what could be a pulmonary embolism. But then again, it was Dr. Seuss, who wasn't really a doctor, kind of in the way that Dr. Phil's not a real doctor. Um, I mean, I'm kind of on a different Christmas story now or movie, but I suppose we could get to that later. But the Grinch just has massive health problems after that. Like, I think honestly, kindness was the worst possible outcome for him from a health perspective.
I think they did a joke about that on Family Guy, didn't they?
I don't know. I
or,
wouldn't be
or maybe Robot
surprised.
Chicken or something. I have like that his heart grew 3 sizes, and he's got and he's like, well, you've got coronary artery disease or something.
Yeah, he must have in the real world. You just die on the spot, probably. What is it? Oh, it's kindness. This is. I don't like this. Don't you feel good? No. Well, that does it. I don't know what else to say about this, and I'm going way off tangent. We're talking about different. We're talking about Christmas specials yet to come. I'm trying to bring this back, but I don't know how. This has been the Muppet Christmas Carol. I really
Yep.
enjoyed. I really enjoyed this movie from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Every year I watch it. I make a
Yeah.
point to watch it, and I always sing along to the to the soundtrack. It's wonderful. It makes me feel
Yeah.
like a kid again. I don't have any, but perhaps I will someday. I know I sound like Benny from the Mummy. I might someday. And that would be a real treat to just sit them down and just watch this, and we'll all sing along and have popcorn, and we'll be a merry family. But
Yeah.
that is another story for another day.
Yeah.
But the Muppet Christmas Carol is, if you have never seen it, you need to go watch that right now.
Yeah,
And
it's a
if
great
you,
one.
and if Christmas in the Hood and shit really does exist, please let us know.
And if it doesn't
We must
exist,
uncover it.
we're gonna copyright it, so you owe us a quarter every time you think about
Yes, and we will try to get this made.
it.
We'll contact Snoop, and Martha Stewart will probably embezzle some of the money. I mean, she'd probably get away with it, right? It'd be double jeopardy.
No, no, that's not how Double Jeopardy works.
How does double jeopardy work?
You can't commit the same crime 2 different times. Double Jeopardy works is like if like okay, I rob a bank and I go get arrested and on trial, and I'm acquitted of that, right? And then I go out onto the courtroom step and said, "Oh, by the way, I actually did rob the bank." They can't like pull me back into the courtroom and retry me because I'm already acquitted from that crime. But if I go after that and go rob the same bank again, then I could be arrested because it's considered a separate crime. It's a new crime.
Wow. I wonder how many people go to prison because they don't know how double jeopardy really works.
It could be a lot. I feel like
That's
we've had this conversation before on the podcast.
I think we have. I think we have. I want to know the statistics behind that now. How many people go to jail not knowing what double jeopardy is, or how many people go to jail because they think double jeopardy will exonerate them? Very interesting. I don't know. Anyway, I got nothing left on this one. Muppet Christmas Carol, best damn Christmas thing ever.
Yeah, go watch
Michael,
it.
yes, go watch it. This has been Why Does This Exist? I've been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
And remember, question everything.
Good night, everybody.